First of all, anything stand out about Carolina? And I don't know if you can answer, but any matchups you look at that you really like, or anything that you like about your team that can maybe exploit
I wouldn't
them?
say matchups. There may be 5-on-5, 5-man on 5-man, but I think they'll probably switch some, and we switch some. So there'll probably be some different matchups that maybe somebody tries to play to through a switch. But it's too early in the season to know enough. We watched them, what they've done so far, and I'm sure they've watched our 2 exhibitions in our game against Howard, and we didn't show anything, and I don't think they've shown a ton. So we don't really know. Go back and watch last year's games towards the end of the season that they played, but for the most part, they've obviously got good personnel, and they're terrific on the perimeter, and they're going to play 3 guards, and they're lightning quick and can get downhill. So it'll be a big challenge for our guards for sure.
I know, obviously, year 22 for you. You've always been give credit to your coaches, former players. You're coming up on Fog Island. Have you given any thought to what that would mean in terms of just looking back when this journey started and to where you are now? It's a significant.
It's a significant number because it means I'm damn old. And it also means that we play a lot more games now per year than what they did back in. If Fogg had played 30 games a year back when he was coaching for 39 years, that's that record. That's 1,200 games. That record wouldn't ever be touched. I'm sure it is significant to some, and I'm sure past players, play a role in that without question. But I've been the beneficiary of a lot of good players and good staff, and being at a place you can recruit good guys. But I don't think I will read into it any more than that. I hold him in such high regard that I don't think that he deserves to be thought of as always the most innovative and the best coach to ever coach here. So nothing that will happen from this point forward will convince me otherwise. He just did it in a different time when we have a lot of advantages now that he had to build, and we didn't have to do that. So I give him all the credit, and I think other coaches that have coached here, if they really thought about it and understood history, they would feel the exact same way I do.
Bill, I don't know what the adjective is, but is it weird these 2 schools haven't played more in the regular season, given who they are?
You know what? How many times have we played overall ever? 12. Yeah, that's a small number. Kentucky and Kansas went years and didn't play regular season, but I think we've ended up I think that number's probably at 35 now, something like that. So 12 is a ridiculously small number, considering of the 12, I know of at least 4 and probably 6 or 8 that came in the NCAA tournament. So that means you got on one hand you can probably count the number of regular season matchups. It's a different time. I'm not emotionally tied to Carolina like others that have been here have been emotionally tied to Carolina. Hubert's not emotionally tied to Kansas like Coach Smith and Coach Williams was tied to Kansas. So it's probably different for us, even though I think that both of us would hold the other in high regard without question and respect everything that's taken place at both places. I think sometimes when you can remove that or have at least a couple of degrees of separation, it just feels different. It makes it for a better game, makes for a better game and a better competitive game. And I think that's probably the case with this. I think it's an awesome game this early in the season. I know our guys will be jacked. Their guys will be jacked. It's going to be fun. We met a couple of years ago in Hubert's first year, and there's just our history is so intertwined that you can't help but respect the other because we're not what we are, either one of us, without the other. So it just makes it a special series, one that I know Sean got set up for us to play home and home, but this would be one I would say if anytime you play Carolina, you play Carolina. just like Kentucky or Duke or whatever. And certainly we're happy to host them, and then we'll see how tomorrow goes, and then we'll decide if we want to return the game next year.
All right, Coach. Given y'all's history with them and the significance, of this game, and just the one other time that y'all played here was in 1960, the only other time that you guys have met in Allen Fieldhouse. How important is it to protect the home court, in this game tomorrow against a team like North Carolina?
It's always important to protect your home court. It has no more significance in the way that you described it than any other game. Let's just call it like it is. It's a second game, and the teams that play tomorrow night, we hope, aren't recognizable in March. We both got to get a lot better, regardless of how tomorrow night goes. And so it's significant probably from a fan standpoint and pride standpoint more than it actually is the significance of what this game actually means in both teams trying to vie to put themselves in the best position to compete for all the marbles this year.
Bill, we don't see a lot of these games on campus, right? Like Duke's playing Arizona, no home and home, but they're pretty rare. What are the benefits specifically, and maybe there's some drawbacks too, of actually playing home and home on campus again in a game like this?
Well, I think the way that we schedule and the way that Carolina schedules and everybody's schedules moving forward has to be thought of differently since we're in a new era of college athletics. And how do we generate money when basically there's a big, portion of it that is coming out of a budget that, okay, how do we replace $20 million? Every school in America is going to look at it. So I would say you play games that generate gate, whether that be a neutral site game, whether that be a home and home game. But from my perspective, you need to play, and from Sean's perspective, I believe, you need to play enough quality to make sure your season ticket buyers get the bang for the buck. And, we try to do that every year. And of course, that'll take place again this year. Then after that, how do we generate as much money for our institution and our athletic department that we possibly can? So there'll be some different strategies moving forward with scheduling, i.e. the exempt tournaments, the MTEs, that schools may have done some things in the past out of the experiences that those type events provided, to now we'll be looking at it. Experiences are important, but so is the bottom line too. And we'll, schools will have to do more things towards that. So I think the home and homes are good. I don't think you can play 3 home and home, 6 games against home and home people a year. I don't even know if you can play 4 moving forward. This year we're playing 4, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right, Sean? We got at Creighton, and we have at Missouri, and then we have NC State at home. And so next year we'll go to NC State and we'll go to Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. And Missouri will be a home game for us. So depending on what we want to do with that, we'll probably complete a cycle. And then after that, who knows how we'll schedule? Who knows how we'll do it? Because we'll do it based on how much revenue can be generated.
You talked about how early in the season this game is arriving, and this is the kind of game where you might find yourself playing like a tighter rotation, like last year against UConn, basically played 6 guys. How would you approach that, knowing that it's so early and maybe you're still figuring out who you can trust and to what extent?
We played 6 guys against UConn last year?
Technically 8, but 2 of them were like 2 minutes apiece.
It was 8. Okay, it was 8. Our rotation was 8 deep last year in that situation. I will tell you, this year it won't be 6. But the reality of it is, you want to win this game, but you also have to prepare to win on Tuesday too. And historically, Tuesday's been the first big game of the year, if I'm not mistaken, because I think Connecticut was actually early December last year. People won't want to hear this. We want to win the game, but we also don't want to put our team in a position that we can be better moving forward and having guys' minds right and that kind of stuff too. So certainly I anticipate trusting my rotation a lot more than what you said I did last year, even though 8 seems like a pretty big number last year.
Coach, when you look at this Carolina team, they obviously have these 3 guards. What kind of threat does each of those guards provide? Is it a different threat, or are each of them sort of similar players?
One of them's a National Player of the Year candidate. You know, he can get downhill. He can shoot the basketball. Even against Elon the other night, when they were kind of laboring, you know, he just put them on their back and go win the game. Another one got 33 on the road at Memphis this year. Another one is probably as true a point guard and from a skill standpoint, passing the ball as you'll find. And then maybe maybe down the road, the 2 best prospects come off the bench. You don't know that, but that's you know, so that's a loaded backcourt without question. And the thing I would say that impresses me about them as much as anything, just in general, from the guard standpoint, is when they play downhill. They don't play side to side. They put pressure on you, and all 3 of them do it equally well in that respect.
Sure. You saw R.J. Davis, their star guard, in the national title game in 2022. How much has he evolved as a player since then?
Well, he was good then, but yeah, he's better now. I mean, I don't believe that year he was a first-team All-American. And he's going to be a first-team All-American this year, and he was last year too. So he's a much better basketball player, but he was pretty damn good then as well.
Coach, I know you had mentioned that you hope that this team looks very different in March compared to how it does now. Does it have any effect, you know, scheduling a high-caliber game like this in the second game of the season? Does that have any effect on the development and the growth of the team, especially the young players?
Great question, because in a perfect world, if you have a lot of newcomers, you probably want to get into it a little bit slower in a perfect world, so you get confidence and have guys get confidence in the way we're trying to do things. This is definitely an imperfect world, and my scheduling czar over there said we don't get a chance to play Carolina home and home, so we're going to play them whenever it works out for both of us. And so this is when we had to do it in order to have to play them. So. Just the way it is, and I'm going to look at it as a positive. I mean, you can learn more about your group probably playing a team like Carolina than you can playing a guarantee game in many ways. Although sometimes the lessons taught through these type of games, may not end as happily as what some of the other lessons that can be taught. But certainly a game to get both teams' attention.
Anything else? Gary?
Do you think you would?
Hold on a second. You're not going to ask me who's starting tomorrow. No, go ahead. I'm sorry, Gary.
Do you think you would put Juan on RJ?
Could. Yeah,
or
could.
Ryland guarded him last year
Could.
for Alabama.
Yeah, we could do that too.
Would you throw different bodies?
Could. We could. Yeah, that's exactly right. Could. Yeah, exactly. Great question.
What about Shaq? Is he available?
I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to play. He did not practice yesterday. So since he's been off for when did we play? Did we play on Monday? And he was last day he went was Friday or something like that. So no, without him practicing, even if he practiced today, I probably wouldn't play him tomorrow. So
Has Hunter held up well?
Yeah, Hunter's been fine. Hunter's been fine.
And I just wondered, you're pretty close with Larry Brown. Were you aware he played in that game in the Fieldhouse in 1960? I did.
I'll be honest. I was not aware that KU hosted Carolina in 1960, but Coach, I could be wrong. Was he a senior in 1960 and played on the Olympic team in 60? I think that's right. So doesn't surprise me that's the case, but I had no idea that he played then. Hopefully, I haven't talked to Coach. We talked to one of his buddies, Doug Compton, and he's not coming to this game. I wish he was, but I think he had other things, commitments going on, and couldn't make it. But certainly, we'll try to use that somehow as motivation in some way, shape, or form, I guess.
Hey, fellas, obviously two newcomers, you guys. I'm just wondering what you think about this matchup early on and kind of your thoughts early on Carolina. I mean, this is obviously a marquee matchup that everybody's going to be talking about the next couple of days.
I would just say it's a big-time matchup. Two good programs, two championship-type programs going at it. And it's going to be fun. I feel like it's going to be great energy in the arena. And I feel like we're going to bring energy, too, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, it's just a blessing to be here. I'm trying to just live in the moment. Obviously, I never played in probably a game this big or environment this big, so I definitely just want to enjoy every moment of it. But I know it's going to be fun. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be high level, so we're really excited.
Ryan, when you had the experience of playing against Alabama, playing when you were at Alabama against UNC not that long ago, just what do you remember from that and the talent they have?
No, I remember we beat them first, but I remember that they were very, very talented. I feel like they were a 1 seed for a reason last year. They had All-American big, All-American guard, and they play really fast. That's still something that I see that they're doing again this year. And this year they got a little bit smaller. They're not as big as they were last year, but they're even more faster this year, so we got to get up. And they got 3 guards that can really go do a lot of things on the court. So that's going to be a big challenge too. But I feel like we should live up to those challenges and play very, very well against them.
David, just curious, you just mentioned it. What do you think the biggest game you have played in is?
Arena-wise, you mean? Or just opponent?
Yeah,
arena?
like
probably
high-profile type game.
Marquette. I had a concussion, came back from concussion protocol, and that was the first live play I had for real. So it was at Marquette.
Last year?
Yeah, last year. That was obviously high-level talent. Tyler Kolek, great guard, great coach. It was a different scene. And they were really good last year. They also played very fast.
You just mentioned, and you've said this before, just happy to be here, the crowds, the environment, this matchup. Do you ever find yourself kind of looking around and saying, wow?
Every day.
Do you?
Yeah, every day I wake up, I can't believe my life. So I try to appreciate every moment and just put it all out there for the team, for my family, my friends watching.
What's the balance there from being too wow to getting back down to earth and locking in and all that? How do you manage that balance?
Just remembering where I come from and who I do this for. You know what I mean? A lot of people in my position that have been my position that I grew up with not here today. Some dead, some in jail, some can't be here, some weren't good enough, some just didn't have the right opportunity. So remembering why you're doing this is always something that keep you grounded. And no moment's ever too big. Just because of the people I'm doing it for is bigger than the moment I'm in. You feel what I'm saying? So.
This is for both of you. Kansas does a great job protecting its home court. Huge matchup here. How much pressure, or I guess emphasis, are they putting on you guys to, come back? Because North Carolina, the one other time they played here, they won. So are they stressing that, like, hey, we gotta win?
Nah, I feel like home games, they expect us to win. So it's no pressure. They expect us to come out and win. So I think I seen something in the locker room. He's 320 and 18 at home. So that just speaks for itself on what we should be doing at home. We should be taking care of business.
Yeah, I feel like Coach Self a different type of coach. So every day you feel like a UNC game. The intensity, of how, the standard he holds us to, but also the vets and where we trying to be and what we hold each other to. I feel like every game is very important, high level. So it's you don't stress one game one than the other, even though we know it's bigger, name-wise, but we got to approach it the same way every day.
Yeah,
so.
These are games you don't lose when you come here. These are type games.
Does it feel, special seeing these campers out here, especially, a game like this? I'm sure they've been out all week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I never seen that.
I never seen that in my life.
I thought they were students trying to do something, studying or something. And then I heard they was camping, and I'm like, we don't play till Friday.
Yeah, that shit crazy. It's crazy.
When they start camping? Next morning, 6 a.m. Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Shout out to y'all.
Shout out to the fans.
I was asleep at that time.
Hey, David, when you get the ball on the perimeter, it doesn't seem like you do a lot of thinking or a lot of hesitation. It just seems like you're ready for the moment. Is that a fair statement, and what is it about you that allows you to be that type of player?
I think that's a fair statement. I think just a lot of hours you put in. You know, you feel comfortable in the moment, but also understanding, like, my role change. Understand I had the ball 24/7 last year, making the plays, scoring all the points, really living and dying by me and my playmaking, but understanding that now I'm playing with the best talent I ever played with. I play with a top point guard, top guards, shooters, like different type of high levels. So understanding that that's going to have to be my role. I'm going to have to defend very hard, play make as well, but I got to be ready to shoot. I got to knock down a shot. Like, so knowing that, and then that's how you prepare during the week. And obviously when you put your own hours in the gym and you know, like, all right, these are where my shots are going to come from. So in the game, I feel comfortable. So I don't want to ever feel like out of sort, like, oh, I didn't know I was going to get this shot. You know what I'm saying? So I try to stay ready.
And Rylan, obviously everybody knows about Hunter. KJ and Flory's been really good early on. Perimeter-wise tomorrow, or Friday, how important is it for you guys to make an impact on a game where, you know, every position could be critical?
It's gonna start with us on the defensive end, because that's where most of their team. That's where they get their points most of the time, from their guards. So I know, like, Diggy's an elite defender. Zeke's a good defender. I feel like I can defend, and AJ's a good defender. Juan's been a defensive player of the year, I think nationally. So we have the ability to stop their guards. It's just a matter of if we do it or not. And I think we take their guards out, we have a really, really good chance of winning the game, because I feel like that's where they get most of their points from, the guards.
You guys talk.
I'll get you a mic.
Okay.
Just looking at the UNC guards, what makes them so difficult to play against? Do you feel like with all the different guards you guys have, it's kind of good preparation for that?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like RJ Davis is an elite scorer. He can score from all three levels. Elia Cadeau is a great passer. It looked like he has worked on his three ball. That was something at Alabama that we wanted him to do, shoot. So, but looks like he's worked on it. He's learned from that game. So no dare shots for him either, really. And then Seth Trimble was the same way. We gave them both dare shots last year, and I think they both took that personal and went to work on their shot, and now they're shooting great. So just make sure they don't really get going. If they see one go in, they might make a couple more. So just make sure that they don't get comfortable out there and impact the game at a very, very high level like they always do.
You guys kind of touched on it, but when you were being recruited, how was all this described to you when you hadn't really seen it yet? The program, the aura, everything.
I probably, just because of my situation, I really wasn't recruited.
Right.
Like, it was a situation I was just trying to come play. And I think Coach Self told me that obviously it's going to be different than I ever seen. Like, there's going to be something else that I never could expect. And I think the level of winning, I think that was the main message. Like, just being a 20-win team here is not enough. Like, in every other program, that's like a great accomplishment. That's like a great year, but for here at Kansas, that's not enough. So I think that was the biggest thing where I was like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really have an idea of like how it was gonna be. I just know that they told me, don't even think about what you think it's gonna be, because it's gonna be way more. So I just was like, all right.
Yeah, for me, they told me, like, the same thing. But I knew we had, like, this matchup. I knew we had Duke, and I knew we had Michigan State and all that. And, of course, all the Big 12 games. So that was a big reason why I came here. I wanted to play against a bunch of those teams night in and night out and compete against the best and with the best. So that was really just a pitch to me.
David, if it's possible to fly under the radar coming to Kansas, perhaps you did, and now you've blown up in about 2 weeks. Do you feel that, that you're the topic of conversation and what you've been able to bring to this team, and now the opportunity to blow up on the big stage? on Friday, and you seem to be a confident young man. Are you ready to take that on and continue with the progress you've made?
Yeah, I think I'm very blessed, but I'm also understanding that I'm blowing up right now, obviously because I wasn't recruited heavily coming throughout my life and in my situation, but I also understand that it's not about me. So just providing the most that I can to help us win is going to be most important. But I think I'm definitely appreciative that people are giving me credit. It's, you like getting your flowers, you like people noticing you. So I think that feels great. But if we could just get this win, I'll feel way better for sure.
And the fact that you weren't highly recruited, is that a motivator in itself that maybe gets you up in the morning and wants you to prove some people that maybe did overlook you wrong and take that to the next level?
I would say it's definitely something that wakes you up. I mean, I feel like once you're doubted heavily, like your whole life, or you just, under-recruited, you kind of sway away from like trying to prove people wrong and more so proving yourself right. Like making a statement, like you want to make a statement when you get on every court. You want to play hard, but also understanding that this is not going to last forever. So we got to put everything we got into it. This is my last year, junior, so he ain't going to have too many more of these and too many more of these moments, matchups, especially with great fans at KU, the great people surrounding the program. So it's like the little job that I do have to go hard, I feel like I should do that without question, just because it's so much that people put into this. You know what I'm saying? So I think our job is the easy part. We just got to play hard and put our hearts out there for 40 minutes. That's all people want to see. So I don't think it's a big ask, but I think that's on my mind every day for sure.